The cabin is quiet in that suspended way that only exists on red-eye flights, where time feels borrowed and everyone is pretending tomorrow isn't waiting. Overhead lights are dimmed to a polite glow. Outside the window, clouds drift like unbothered witnesses. In seat 8, a black single father sleeps with his head tilted toward the aisle, hoodie pulled low, jaw tight even in rest. Exhaustion clings to him, the kind earned, not chosen. He doesn't snore. He doesn't sprawl. He takes up as little space as possible. Around him, the cabin tells a familiar story. A man in a tailored blazer scrolls through emails he won't send until landing. A nervous mother checks her child's breathing for the 4th time in 5 minutes. A frequent flyer lounges with the confidence of someone who believes this plane belongs to him. Conversations fade. Eyes close. The flight settles into forgettable anonymity. Seat 8A remains unnoticed. Then the intercom crackles, sharp enough to slice through sleep. The captain's voice is steady but clipped, measured in a way that feels practiced for emergencies. Ladies, and gentlemen, we're looking for any combat pilots on board. If you have military flight experience, please make yourself known to a flight attendant. Silence follows, heavier than turbulence. Eyes open all at once. Heads turn. Fear doesn't scream, it whispers. People scan faces the way they scan exits, searching for reassurance. A man straightens in his seat, suddenly hoping confidence counts as credentials. Someone laughs too quickly. Someone grips an armrest too hard. The question hangs in the air, unanswered, uncomfortable. Flight attendants move down the aisle, eyes flicking toward pressed suits, confident posture, familiar authority. They pause near first class. They pass seat 8A without slowing. The father shifts slightly in his sleep, unaware that the room is measuring worth in glances and assumptions. No one looks at him. Not once, because nothing about him fits the picture. Forming in their minds, not the hoodie, not the fatigue, not the quiet presence of a man used to being overlooked. Panic spreads anyway, filling the gaps where certainty should be. People want a hero, but only the kind they recognize. And the cabin held its breath, waiting for safety. What they don't realize yet is that this moment isn't just about fear or flying. It's about who gets seen when urgency arrives and who remains invisible when it matters most. What the passengers assumed next would expose more than fear. It would reveal a bias they didn't know they carried. Whispers move faster than logic at 35,000 feet. They slide across armrests, between strangers, through the thin air of shared fear. In first class, a white man straightens his jacket and lifts his chin. He doesn't say anything, but his body volunteers. Across the aisle, someone laughs and says, "This isn't a movie, right?" The joke lands flat, but it gives people permission to hope. Flight attendants move again, slower now, scanning faces with quiet urgency. Their eyes linger on uniforms that promise order, suits that suggest control, confidence that feels familiar. Seat 8A's passed once, then again. The man there shifts in his sleep, headphones snug, breath steady. His phone rests face down on his thigh, cracked case, smudged screen. Earlier that night, it held a photo of his daughter, gap-toothed smile, and braids half undone. He works long shifts, takes late flights, chooses exhaustion because rent and school lunches don't wait. This flight means everything and nothing at the same time. Everything because getting home matters, nothing because no one here knows his name. Around him, assumptions harden quietly. Competence is being assigned without evidence, authority imagined before it speaks. The cabin wants reassurance, but only in a form it recognizes. Seat 8A remains outside that frame. Then the plane jolts, sharp and sudden. A gasp ripples through the rows. Fear drops its mask, and the situation stops being theoretical. Overhead, bins creak, drinks tremble, and every unspoken assumption is suddenly tested. People grip armrests and search again for someone who looks like certainty. Still, no one turns towards seat 8A. The father's eyes remain closed as the aircraft shudders. History repeating in the smallest ways. In this moment, gravity isn't the only force pulling everything down. Bias presses heavier than fear, invisible, but present, shaping who is trusted before anything goes wrong. And as the turbulence builds, the cost of that silence is about to be felt. The question now is not who can help, but who will finally be seen. The answer is closer than anyone dares to imagine, and it's sleeping, unnoticed, in plain sight, waiting for the moment assumptions collapse completely. The plane shudders without warning, a drop that steals breath and replaces it with instinct. Conversation dies. Laughter evaporates. Overhead compartments rattle like loose teeth. Somewhere, behind the wing, metal groans in protest. The calm illusion of altitude fractures, and fear finally shows its face. The captain's voice returns, no longer smooth, no longer rehearsed. There is strain threaded through every syllable. He speaks of a systems issue, of autopilot instability, of procedures being followed. He does not say danger, but everyone hears it anyway. Hands reach for armrests. Eyes dart toward the ceiling as if expecting masks to fall at any second. The cabin tilts again, sharper this time. A woman gasps. A man swears under his breath. Fear becomes physical, contagious, undeniable. A flight attendant steps into the aisle, voice raised now, urgency stripping away politeness. "Sir, ma'am, are you military trained? Do you have flight experience?" The question echoes, desperate, searching. She looks left. She looks right. She looks forward. Seat 8A is still not part of the equation. The father shifts as the turbulence ripples through his body. His brow tightens, instinctively alert even in sleep. His phone vibrates against his leg, the soft buzz cutting through the chaos. A message preview lights the screen for just a second. It's his daughter. A picture she sent earlier, missing. Him already, holding up a crooked drawing and smiling like everything will be okay. A child nearby starts to cry, the sound thin and panicked. The mother pulls them close, whispering reassurances she doesn't believe. Oxygen masks tremble in their compartments, threatening to drop, threatening to confirm what everyone fears. The cabin feels smaller, tighter, trapped between sky and doubt. People scan the rows again, searching harder now, praying someone will stand up and end the uncertainty. Still, their eyes slide past seat 8A, past the quiet man with the hoodie and the sleeping posture. They are running out of time and they don't know it yet. Asterisk in the cockpit. Calculations are being made. Options weighed. A decision forms that will reach beyond the flight deck and into the cabin, forcing everyone to confront the mistake unfolding in real time. The cockpit is no longer a place of confidence. It is a place of math and memory. Warning lights blink, like quiet accusations. The captain explains to his first officer that if the systems degrade further, muscle memory will matter more than automation. Former military jet experience. Hands trained to fly when computers hesitate. Someone who has felt instability and not panicked. Out in the cabin, tension stretches thin. People sense the shift even without the words. Flight attendants exchange. Looks they were trained not to show. Voices lower. Steps slow. The question has been asked enough times to feel foolish now, echoing unanswered in the aisles. One attendant stops near seat 8A. She hesitates. The hesitation says everything. She apologizes before she even speaks, as if already aware of the assumption she is about to test. Her fingers hover, then gently tap his shoulder. He wakes immediately. No confusion. No startle. His eyes open sharp and present, scanning without alarm. Calm settles around him in a way that feels practiced, earned. The cabin notices it before they understand it. He pulls one ear cup back, registering the room, the faces, the fear. He doesn't rush. He doesn't ask what's wrong. He waits. The flight attendant swallows. Her voice is quieter now, stripped of authority and left with need. "Sir," she says, "are you a pilot?" For a heartbeat, the plane seems to steady itself on that question alone. Nearby passengers lean in without meaning to. The man in first class stops pretending not to listen. The crying child goes quiet, as if sensing something important is happening. Asterisk, Eat 8A is no longer invisible. The father straightens in his seat, shoulders settling into alignment. The hoodie doesn't change. The exhaustion doesn't vanish. But something else is present now, unmistakable to anyone who has ever depended on competence in a crisis. He meets her eyes, steady and unbothered by the weight suddenly placed on him. His answer comes without urgency, without drama, without apology. It is simple, measured, and grounded in truth. And though it barely rises above a normal speaking voice, it lands with a force that ripples through the cabin, shifting fear into something else entirely. In that instant, assumptions buckle. Authority rearranges itself midder. People feel it, even if they can't name it yet. The plane is still shaking, but the balance has changed. Whatever he says next will not just answer a question. It will redefine who they thought mattered. When fear first asked for permission to listen, he answers quietly. Former Air Force, combat rated, flew F-15s. Silence fills the cabin like pressure. It isn't applause or relief. It's recalibration. Passengers stare, eyes widening as old pictures collapse in real time. The man in first class freezes mid-breath, jacket still perfect, certainty suddenly useless. Somewhere behind him, a woman whispers, "Wait him?" Not cruel, just stunned by how wrong she was. He doesn't look around to receive it. He doesn't lift his voice. He simply sits there, present, as if facts are enough. Years unfold in a few sentences. Deployments across deserts with names most people forget. Night landings that trained his hands to trust instinct when instruments lied. Commendations earned and packed away. Medals never mentioned because they never paid a bill or packed a lunch. He left the service for a reason he never leads with. His daughter needed him more than the sky did. Her mother didn't make it, and someone had to stay. So he traded flight suits for long shifts, traded debriefs for bedtime calls, traded recognition for responsibility. None of that fits neatly into a stranger's idea of a hero, so he never tried to make it fit. The cabin absorbs this without words. Bias has nowhere to hide now. People feel it land in their chests, heavy and undeniable. This man was here the whole time, capable and calm, while they searched for someone who looked the part. The realization is uncomfortable, and it should be. He finally meets the flight attendant's eyes again, steady, respectful. He isn't offended. He isn't triumphant. He is simply available. Fear loosens its grip, replaced by something closer. To trust. A few passengers nod without knowing why. Others look down, embarrassed by the math they did in their heads. Up front, the cockpit door opens a crack. A voice calls his name, careful and deferential, cutting through the murmurs. It isn't a request anymore. It's an acknowledgement. And with that single change, the balance of the plane shifts. As authority moves toward seat 8, every eye follows him now, not with judgment but need. The weight of expectation settles, unfamiliar and undeserved, yet unavoidable. He stands smoothing. Nothing. Proving nothing. Just answering a call that should never have been doubted. Somewhere between rows, respect replaces assumption. The aircraft still trembles, but the narrative has changed, and everyone feels it. This is the moment power. Changes hands, quietly, decisively, before the cockpit speaks again. Silence returns, heavier, expectant, as fear waits to see who leads next now. He steps into the aisle, and the movement alone shifts the cabin's gravity. Conversations stop. Seats feel suddenly smaller. Every eye follows him now, not with suspicion, but with something closer to relief. Respect replaces doubt without ceremony, the way truth always does when it finally arrives. He walks forward, past the same faces that scanned him away minutes ago. The tailored blazer avoids his gaze. The nervous joke-teller swallows hard. No one speaks. No one needs to. Their silence is loud enough. He does not look back at them, does not claim the moment. Dignity, he knows, doesn't need witnesses. A child leans into the aisle and smiles at him, unafraid. He nods once, gentle, grounding, as if to say everything is still under control. The smile follows him forward like a quiet blessing. Fear loosens another notch at the cockpit door. He pauses only long enough to listen. Systems, stability, altitude. He asks questions that cut cleanly through noise. His voice is calm, practiced, shaped by pressure most people never see. Authority settles into the space not because it demands to, but because it belongs there. Inside, he assesses without drama. What's failing? What's holding? What's holding? What can be trusted when technology hesitates? The captain listens. Everyone does. This is not about ego or rank. It is about competence, arriving exactly when it is needed. Behind him, the cabin exhales together, unaware they are doing it. Confidence ripples backward through rows, replacing panic with patience. They believe now, fully, without reservation. But as he stands there, steady hands ready, another weight presses quietly at his back. He knows what could be said. He knows what would be justified. Every assumption, every glance, every moment he was passed by is lined up, waiting. The moment offers him permission to correct them, to educate them, to let frustration speak. And for the first time all night, the cabin seems ready to hear the truth without interruption or excuses remaining. He says none of it, because the hardest moment isn't flying the plane. It's choosing restraint when vindication is offered freely, and letting dignity speak louder than any accusation ever could. He moves with the rhythm of the aircraft, reading its moods the way some people read faces, short exchanges, precise suggestions. He points out what matters and ignores what doesn't. There is no urgency in his tone, only clarity. Under pressure, calm becomes contagious, and the cockpit begins to breathe again. The captain follows his lead. Instruments stabilize. Hands stop shaking. The plane levels, subtle at first, then undeniable. The shutter fades into steady forward motion. In the cabin, applause erupts on instinct, raw and relieved, then falters as people realize how close they were to disaster. Gratitude collides with humility. No one knows where to look. He doesn't turn around to receive it. He doesn't acknowledge the sound. He is already moving on to the next calculation, the next safeguard. This was never about recognition. It was about getting everyone home. Minutes pass differently now. Time stretches, calmer, almost reverent. Flight attendants exchange glances filled with something like awe. Passengers sit straighter, quieter, aware that survival just brushed past them without ceremony. Fear drains away, leaving respect in its place. He never corrects anyone, never points out who was overlooked, who was ignored, who was assumed incapable. The lesson hangs in the air without words, heavier because it is unspoken. He understands that dignity doesn't argue. It demonstrates. When the captain thanks him, it is brief and sincere. Professional to professional. No speeches, no drama. Just acknowledgement earned the hard way. The plane continues forward, stabilized not just by skill, but by trust restored at altitude. In the rows behind them, people replay the moment again and again, wondering how they missed what was always there. The applause never fully returns. It isn't needed anymore. What matters is that the aircraft is steady, the danger contained, and the truth undeniable. No one will say it aloud yet, but something fundamental has shifted, a realization that competence does not announce itself, and that assumptions once exposed are impossible to unsee for those willing to notice. And as the lights dim back to their quiet glow, one certainty settles across the cabin. When the plane lands safely, the real reckoning begins. Thank you comes first, quiet and uneven. A man grips his hand too long. A woman apologizes without quite knowing for what. Others pass him in silence, eyes down, choosing distance over discomfort. Gratitude arrives mixed with embarrassment, and he accepts both with the same nod, the same calm he carried through the sky. Someone posts before the wheels fully cool, "You won't believe who saved our flight." The caption spreads faster than the fear ever did. Photos blur. Details mutate. Comment sections ignite. Some praise his skill. Others argue about what they expected to see. The debate isn't about flying at all. It's about assumptions, about who looks capable before proof arrives. By the time phones are pocketed, he has already returned to seat 8, hoodie back in place, headphones on. He sits exactly where he started, as if the night never bent around him. The cabin feels different now, softer, quieter. People steal glances they didn't earn earlier. He doesn't notice or pretends not to. Normalcy is a choice, and he chooses it. As the plane taxis, relief settles into reflection. Passengers replay their thoughts, their glances, the mental shortcuts they took when fear asked them to choose. Quickly, no announcement corrects them. No speech arrives to frame the lesson neatly. The absence forces it inward. Online, the story keeps growing. Arguments form between strangers who weren't there, each convinced they would have seen him, would have known. He doesn't read any of it. His world is smaller, grounded, waiting at home. The door opens. People stand. Bags drop from overheads with renewed confidence. He waits his turn, patient, unseen again. Walking through the jet bridge, he feels the echo fade. No medals, no spotlight. Just the familiar pull of responsibility waiting outside these walls. The internet can argue. The cabin can rethink. His work is simpler. Be present. Get home. Tomorrow, his daughter will ask about the flight, and he will tell her it was long, that people were kind, that everyone arrived safely. He will leave out the part where he was doubted, because teaching pride does not require passing down bitterness. Some lessons live best in silence, growing stronger when modeled rather than spoken aloud, remembered long after moments pass. Baggage claim. Amid spinning belts and tired faces, someone finally speaks the question everyone avoided, the one no altitude could hide. He calls her while walking through the terminal, the noise fading as her voice fills the line. She answers on the second ring, breathless, already smiling. He tells her he's on the ground, that he'll be home soon. Soon matters. Soon is a promise she understands. She asks if flying was scary. Children always ask the truest question first. He considers the ceiling light sliding past, the long night behind him, the way fear looked when it finally showed itself. He chooses his words carefully, the way he always does with her. Sometimes, he says, honest without weight. But not for the reasons people think. She waits. He can hear it, that quiet patience she learned from watching him show up tired. And steady anyway. He tells her about staying calm, about listening, about helping when it matters without needing anyone to clap. He does not tell her about the looks or the silence or how long it took to be seen. Asterisk. Was it like the movies? She asks. He smiles. No, it was quieter. She laughs, satisfied. He tells her she did great with her homework, that he saw the picture she sent, that it's on his phone still. She tells him she kept his dinner warm even though she knows he won't eat it. Rituals matter. They anchor things. Before they hang up, she asks one more time if he was afraid. This time, he answers the part that matters. Not as scary as being underestimated, he says, and staying kind anyway. She doesn't fully understand yet, but she will. Lessons don't always land all at once. Some take years, waiting for the right moment to rise. He tells her he loves her. She says it back, stronger, louder, like a promise she plans to keep. Call ends. He stands still for a moment, letting the warmth settle. Around him, people rush and argue and replay the night online. He doesn't join them. He carries the lesson forward instead, knowing that one day she will recognize it in herself. That lesson becomes the story's final truth, passed hand to hand, stronger than applause, lasting beyond the noise. Power rarely arrives the way stories promise, loud and decorated, demanding attention on entry. It moves quietly, steady, earned through action, unnoticed until it is needed most by everyone watching when fear finally asks for truth without shortcuts or masks. True authority does not demand belief, posture, volume, or permission from a room full of doubt. It earns trust by doing the work when no one is ready to applaud and leaving quietly afterward without bitterness, ego, or scorekeeping ever. That night reminded everyone that America's best are not always obvious at first glance. They are not always loud, uniformed, celebrated, or centered in expectation. Sometimes they are tired parents carrying responsibility, home after long nights without applause waiting there. He never asked to be believed, never demanded recognition, never corrected the room that misjudged him. He simply showed up prepared, calm, and willing to carry the weight so others could arrive safely and learn quietly what mattered most then. The lesson lingers beyond the flight, beyond headlines, beyond viral arguments searching for comfort. Power is calm under pressure, dignity under doubt, truth without performance. It waits patiently to be recognized by those willing to see past assumptions and fear. Power isn't proven by who people expect to save them. It's revealed by who does without asking to be believed. That truth closes this story where it began, quietly, in plain sight, waiting for recognition without demanding it ever again.